Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Hamza, back out here again. You see the video title? Look, I wasn't even gonna share this story. It's something I don't even like to talk about. Not only is it embarrassing for me, but it's something that it's almost like a repressed memory of mine, right? It was kind of traumatic at the time. But the more I started thinking about it, the more I realized there's actually a golden nugget to this story. And what a better way for me to share this golden nugget with you than for me to tell you the time where I got my ass kicked by an ex-UFC fighter. But before I get into that, I have to give you a quick backstory. You see, I started my martial arts journey when I was about 18, 19 years old. I was going to a place that was primarily jiu-jitsu. And I stayed there for about 3 to 4 years. I get my blue belt in jiu-jitsu. People don't know, in jiu-jitsu, the belt colors go white, blue, purple, brown, and black. It takes about 10 to 12 years to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So I got a blue belt, but I didn't know any striking, right? I was just a grappler. I didn't want to be one of those jiu-jitsu guys who just goes for takedowns and can't do any strikes or anything like that. So, shortly after getting my blue belt, life hit me, right? I just started going through a lot of shit, ended up taking a year to year and a half off. So I'm about 23, 24 at the time now. And I'm like, look, I need to get back into martial arts. I've been out of it for about a year, year and a half. I'm out of shape, right? I'm out of shape. But I'm like, look, I want to go to a different gym, a gym that shows how you strike, right? And not only did I want to learn striking, I wanted to be a really good striker. I didn't want to just go to any gym. I wanted to go to a competitive gym. So I started looking around to seeing what gyms I could go to. And I see this gym not too far from me, which is like a fighter's gym. And at this gym, there's primarily amateurs, but mainly professional fighters that go here, right? And so I was like, look, hey, you know what? That might be the gym for me. Because the owner of the gym was the ex-UFC fighter. I'm not going to tell you his name, right? That's going to give it away. But I'll give you some information about him, some little, like a little debrief about him, right? He was in the UFC for some time. He made quite some noise when he was there. But he was also on the, what was it? The Ultimate Fighter Season 5, right? So this guy's an OG. He's had about 40 fights. His style of fighting is Taekwondo, Kung Fu, and wrestling. And his striking is really good. Like, that's his bread and butter. And I was like, whoa, like, who better to learn my striking from than somebody who's in the UFC, somebody who has a really appealing style to me in terms of stand-up, and somebody I could just kind of learn from and get better with. So I was like, okay, cool. This seems like the gym I'm going to go to. So I go get my gear. I end up going to the gym, right? I show up at the gym. Cute girl in the front. I'm like, hey, look, I'm new here. This is my first day. I have a little bit of jiu-jitsu experience, right? I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, but I'm not a fighter. I don't fight, right? I'm not a professional. I'm not an amateur. I'm just here so I can get better. She's like, oh, okay, cool. No problem. She's like, hey, the grappling class is about to start. Why don't you jump in? And I'm like, okay, cool. It's grappling. That's no problem, right? Because I've done grappling before, even though I was out of shape, right? Even though I was out of shape, I was like, it's been a year and a half. Okay, I've gotten my ass kicked in grappling before. How bad could it be? So I go in the gym and I see him, the UFC fighter. So I go and introduce myself, and I'm like before I'm introducing myself, I'm like, damn, like I used to see this guy on TV. I've seen him like fuck people up, right? So I'm kind of excited. I'm nervous. I introduce myself. He could give a fuck. He doesn't even care, right? He's like, oh, this is your first day? We're going to do grappling. You're going to be my partner. Let's go. So we end up grappling, right? And he fucks me up, right? Mind you, he's not really a grappler by any means. Most of his losses are from grappling, are from submissions on his professional record. He's probably at least a brown belt, though. He's a brown belt and he's a wrestler. So basically, I have no chance to begin with right now, especially at the point that I'm at. Not only does he fuck me up, he's doing like dirty moves. Like, he's doing like neck cranks. He's doing like explosive heel hooks, right? If you don't know, heel hooks are really dangerous. You don't really do those. And if you do them, you do it gently, right? But he's not doing that. So he's really laying it out on me. And long story short, I get my ass kicked. But the funny thing is, That's actually not even the story. Because I've gotten my ass kicked before, right? It's actually the next day where I really get my ass kicked. So I get my ass kicked. I was like, okay, cool. It was really intense, right? It was really difficult, but I was like, look, this is what it feels like to go against a real fighter. So I'm like, okay, cool. This might be the gym for me, right? I have to get tougher. So I show up the next day, and the girl's like, hey, why don't you jump into this class? This is like the technical stand-up class, right? Technical stand-up my ass. Because not only does the owner, right, the UFC fighter, he shows like 1 to 2 techniques nobody's not even gonna do, right? Like jump off the wall and do some spinning kick or some shit, right? And then he's like, all right, now we're gonna spar. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh shit, like I'm not here, like I'm not ready to spar. And mind you, it's only after I find out it's not just the technical stand-up class, it's actually the professional technical stand-up class, the pros class. And the day before was the pros grappling class. So everyone I was going against were professionals, right? Amateurs or professionals. And today, or on that day, the next day, I'm gonna now go striking with these amateurs and professionals. And I'm like, fuck, like I haven't done any strike. I'm a novice to this shit, right? But I have my gear and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not gonna be a bitch. I'm just gonna go ahead and try it. So I'm like 3 rounds in, like I've gone with like 3 different partners. I'm exhausted. Like for those who don't strike, for those who don't do stand-up, for one, let me tell you something. There's a complete difference between grappling conditioning and stand-up conditioning. It's completely different. I would have had grappling conditioning, I would have had grappling conditioning if anything, but that was barely it. So the fact that there was stand-up was so difficult. So I'm exhausted, right? It's getting to a point where I'm like, I think I'm gonna throw up. But there's another round, right? So what I do, no cap, right? What I do is I look around, look at the gym, look at all the fighters. I'm like, who's the weakest link? Who can I co-pair against, right? That can catch my breath and hopefully like, maintain myself. I see this girl. She's actually an amateur fighter. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll go partner up with her. So I go to her. I'm like, hey, you want to be my partner? We can do it, a spar, whatever. Because I'm like, look, okay, she's probably not going to kick my ass, right? She's a girl. She's an amateur. Mind you, she's an amateur fighter. She was a big girl, too. But I was like, okay, I'd rather pick her than pick the 6'5" guy who's looking at me around on the other side of the gym. You know what I'm saying? So me and this girl start sparring. And she's beating my ass. Straight up. The funny thing is, like, again, when you don't spar, for those of you who don't know sparring, you don't even realize it's so tiring to even keep your hands up. Your hands start dropping, right? So, like, I'm sparring against her. I can't even keep my hands up. My shoulders are so burned out, and she's jabbing my face in. Like, straight up. She's jabbing me. She's punched me so many times. The other coaches at the gym are, like, starting to coach me. Like, oh, shit, like watch out. Like, put your hands up, move around, stuff like that. So she's laying it on me, but I survived, right? Get my ass beat by her, but I survived. But now I'm about to throw up. I'm like, ugh, right? So I'm like, right after the round's over, I'm going to the bathroom. I'm about to go there and I'm about to throw up and just chill there probably. Like I'm trying to just hide out. Before I even get into the bathroom, owner of the gym was like, oh, you're not going there. You're not going anywhere. You're going to come with me. We're going to go now. And now I'm like, oh, shit. I remember how difficult the grappling was with him. And that's not even his forte, right? Stand-up is what he's known for. And mind you, when I was sparring the other people at the gym, I was keeping an eye on him when I could. And I'm seeing him smash people. Like, I saw him sidekick this other professional fighter straight in the face. Like, just sidekick, boom. And I'm like, oh my God. Because his dexterity is unbelievable. He can move his legs the way he can move his arms, which is really deadly. And he can switch stances like it's nothing. So now I'm like, oh shit, he's about to go against me. I'm about to get my ass handed to me, right? This is no more a sparring match. This is survival now, right? So now I'm like, okay, I need to like compose myself. I need to get ready. The round begins. I don't even remember much of what happened. I'll tell you the key points I remember. But he's beating my ass, right? He's laying it on me. I'm in full defense mode, right? I couldn't even keep my hands up with the girl. So imagine, right? I have my hands down when I'm sparring him. And he might have thought, and I believe he thought I was being disrespectful by keeping my hands down, but it's because my shoulders were so burnt out, right? Mind you, that's how I spar nowadays. I like to keep my hands down like Conor McGregor and stuff, but that's because I've learned how to do that now, right? That's kind of my style. But at the time, I wasn't trying to make fun of him. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I just couldn't keep my hands up. I remember while we're sparring, there was a time where I didn't even know what shot he threw. All I felt was this wind just go right past my face, like whoosh. He threw a spinning wheel kick right at my face, and if it was like 1 to 2 inches closer, it would have fucking. I probably could have gotten knocked out. Honestly, he barely missed. So, long story short, I'm getting my ass handed to me. We end up going off the mat into the corner of the building or the room, right? And so in jiu-jitsu, what happens is if you get off the mat or you're in the corner, you end up going back, walking to the middle, you shake hands, you go again. That's what you do in grappling and jiu-jitsu. So for some reason, I thought it would be the same thing. So, mind you, he's about to tee off on me in this fucking corner. And what I did, which was incredibly stupid, but understandable, is I turned around and I started walking back towards the middle, right? Because I thought, okay, we would reset, I'm about to be off the mat, whatever. But the real reason I did it is because I need to catch my fucking breath. I'm so exhausted, I can't even breathe, right? So I start walking towards the middle. Like I'm like 2 or 3 steps in. All of a sudden I hear him say, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" Right? And it's funny because at the time I genuinely was like, oh shit, I wonder who he's talking to. So I start turning around. Before I can turn around, I just feel boom, boom. I feel 2 left hooks hit me from behind. I'm stunned, right? I'm like, oh shit, I'm wobbled. I turn around. Boom! He drops me with the 2. He drops me and I fall my ass. I'm on the floor. I'm on my back. He gets on top of me. He punches me 2, 3 times in the face. And he's like, don't you ever fucking turn your back. This was so difficult for me because not only, obviously it hurt, right? Obviously I was stunned, but it was the embarrassment. It was the fact that everybody stopped and watched. And they saw me on my back on the floor just getting pounded on by him, right? And I remember the feeling I had afterwards. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this motherfucking place. Because I was like, look, that's not how I would want to treat somebody. If I had a gym and somebody new came and I knew I was better than them, I wouldn't do that to them, right? So why the fuck did he do that to me? So, I was like, fuck this place. But at the same time, I realized that, you know what? Don't fucking quit. See, I didn't want to be that guy who was just like, hey, you know what? I got my ass kicked, and that's the reason I don't like the culture, and so I quit. Even though I didn't think what he did was right, I was like, no, I'm not going to fucking quit. So I didn't quit. And I ended up staying there for about 7 months or so. I just stopped for one, listening to that stupid girl at the front who was telling me, hey, join this class, because she was telling me to go in the pros classes. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. So I started going to other classes, right? But mainly I started training myself. I would train myself rather than going to a pros class. The pros class would be from 5 to 6:30. The Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu, whatever, the next class would be from like 7 to 8:30, I think it was. So I would get there at 4:30. I would warm up. I'm seeing the pros get ready, right? I warm up. I start hitting the bag. I start conditioning myself. I'm watching the pros class so I can learn, right? I would learn the techniques. I'll be like, oh, okay, oh, so that's what they're doing, whatever the case is. He started noticing, and then later on, he would tell me, hey, jump in the class, right? After about 7 months, I was like, look, this isn't the gym for me anymore. Like, I don't agree with his philosophy in fighting, right? I've seen the fighters come in and out because a lot of them just get injured because that's the mentality that they had. Every gym says, I'll leave your ego at the door, right? But how many gyms actually follow that? Very few. I'll tell you, very few actually follow it. So after 7 months, I end up leaving. I go to the gym that I go to now. I love the place. Great, amazing place. Amazing jiu-jitsu, amazing stand-up, right? All in one. The reason I told you that story is for actually 3 main reasons, right? Number 1, if you're at a gym right now and you feel like, hey, I feel like this isn't the best place for me. I feel like I'm not getting better, but I don't really want to leave. And that's how I felt because I'm a very loyal person. I don't like to gym hop, right? I want to stay at one place and train so the instructors know and see my progress. But not every gym is good for you. And not every gym will have the right philosophy for you. So if you are in that situation, and you do martial arts, and you are going to a gym and you feel like this isn't a gym for me, it might be time to look around, regardless of how you feel. Number 2, if you do want to get good at martial arts, you're gonna have to put a lot of fucking time into this shit. Like, I was putting upon hours just training myself because I was so fucking bitter and angry because I was like, this guy kicked my ass, right? And embarrassed me. I'm gonna make sure I get better. It's not just the class that's gonna get you better. You're gonna have to put a lot of time outside of class to get better. The third reason I told you a story, the golden nugget. You see, that day when I was sparring with him, and I'm getting my ass kicked already, and I end up being in the corner, right? And he's about to tee off on me. I had a choice, right? Do I stay here, stay composed, right? Maybe move around, whatever the case is. Or do I walk away towards the middle to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I thought jiu-jitsu, I could catch my breath, or whatever the case is. I took the weak option out. I picked the weak option, right? And again, I understand that I'm not beating myself up in the sense like, hey, I understand that like that's your natural tendency. If you gotta catch your breath, you're gonna do what you have to do, right? But sometimes life is kicking your fucking ass, right? Sometimes you feel like right when you're fucking exhausted and you can't take any more, life kicks your ass even worse. Just like how I was getting my ass kicked from that girl, I'm about to go in the bathroom to throw up. And then now I'm getting my ass kicked by this UFC fighter. I'm in the corner, right? I had a choice and I picked the wrong choice. When life is kicking your ass, and even if you can't strike back, right? Sometimes you just have to stay there. Stay composed. Put your fucking hands up, right? Stay composed. Keep your hands up. And just say, you know what? Fuck this. And fuck you to life, right? If I could go back, you know what I would have done? I would have kept my hands up. I would have stayed composed. And then I would have said, you know what? Fuck you, motherfucker. I would have been like, you know what? I would have just started swinging. Because you know what? There's a very, very high chance that if I did that, I would have probably got knocked out. Definitely would have been dropped for sure, right? But guess what? Getting dropped or getting knocked out or whatever the case is, fighting back is much better than what I did, where I turned away, turned back, and he punched me and I'm on my ass, right? The reason I told this story is, look, don't take the easy route when it feels like I took the easy route. I did it to catch a couple breaths. I did it for a little bit of relief, right? Just like instant gratification. Sometimes we give it into something instantly, right? I had a little bit of relief for first fucking 2-3 steps. But guess what? You know what life does when you take that instant gratification? It'll be like, oh, no problem. I'm going to hit you when you least expect it. And when you do turn around, I'm going to knock you on your fucking ass. That's what life will do to you. So whether you're at the martial arts gym or in life and you feel like you're getting your ass kicked, sometimes you just have to stay in the fucking pocket, right? Stay in the fucking pocket, stay composed, and say, fuck you, motherfucker, and go out swinging. Don't be the fucking bitch that I was and fucking be a little coward, right? Swing back, fight back, and watch. That's what I should have done, and I guarantee you, he would have had much more respect for me then. He would have been like, hey, at least this guy didn't fucking quit even though he was tired, right? So that's the story. I hope you enjoyed that. It was embarrassing for me at the time, right? I'm embarrassed thinking about it now, right? I still I need to figure out how I get back after this motherfucker, you know? But it's gonna take a lot of time because he's very fucking skilled. But again, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. What would you do in my situation? Would you have stayed there? Would you have walked away? Would you have told him that, hey, you're going too hard? I wonder what you would have done. Like, comment, subscribe. Holla back at your boy.